Back at work. It's kind of dark in here. Today's Thursday and a lot of odds and ends done today. So on my dad's car, we changed the diff oil and we went to the special one that adds the additional, some sort of additive that makes it make less noise. These things grind. And when they sit for like a year and barely move, like when we rebuilt this car and had all the paint work done, it's, you know, you drive it for a few days, it's fine, but then it sits for a week again. And when you turn and the LSD has to do its LSD thing, you just get a grinding noise from the back. So we've had several of these cars that do that. This is another one. We did the space gray one, and BMW did a special differential oil you put in there and then drive it 600 miles and it totally goes away. So a little bit of maintenance there. On the Canadian car, after about 250 miles driving over the past 4 days, got it up, verified everything is dry. Our transmission oil cooler block-off solution is not leaking, which is fantastic, at least in this amount of testing. But that allowed us, or enabled us, to put back on the transmission belly pan, which of course we modified for use with the manual. So that is done and nice and tight. We had also done the tie rods and not replaced yet the, they call them gearbox covers, but these plastic covers up there that go around the control arms. So those are done. Engine belly pan is on and hopefully tight at all fasteners. I see we're missing the little triangle piece here that exposes the oil filter housing, and like most of these cars, it has a chunk out of it here because people drive them up over shit. That compresses the brackets that hold the belly pan on, which then in turn makes the fender liner bow out towards the wheel, and then the wheel just grinds it when you steer because it's pretty low clearance. So waiting for him to approve a few things. This car's seen corrosion and it's very evident in the wheel center caps. With all the other lights new, now these look really hazy and faded. So I'm waiting for him to approve that. And then more lucratively, the throttle and idle actuators. He sent me a text. He's like, yeah, so this thing's going to be bulletproof for the next 100,000 miles, right? It's like, no, these things are never bulletproof. But if you really want to buy some longevity, then that would be replacing your throttle and idle actuators. And we are subletting the rod bearings, and we did away with the SMG. So that would be a lot of really good things. And he's going to turn this car around and sell it eventually. And that would definitely add some value. So I think we're going to end up doing those. On the M-Tech, I did a deep dive on coding today to figure out why cruise control doesn't work. Downloaded all the files out of the light module, the instrument cluster, general module, EWS, DSC, ABS module. Everything is pretty much properly coded for manual. There are a couple little things I tweaked, still no cruise control. Looked at the circuit and it's looking for input from a clutch position sensor. So to see if the guy that converted this car to manual wired that and put my foot on the brake, didn't touch the clutch, turned the key, boom, fires right out. There's no clutch position sensor. Probably wired that circuit closed on the EWS or on the DME to allow for a start. That's a half-assed solution because now that means your cruise control doesn't work. So we could go to the X60004, connect around the DME, and wire pin 23 to have a constant 12 volts. That would make the cruise control work. But then if you push the clutch in, you're going to go to red line and just fuel cut at the limiter until you cancel cruise control. That's not a good solution. I don't even want to offer that. So customer doesn't like that it's a whole lot of labor to add the clutch position sensor, but that's the way it is. We got to run wires through the firewall. I don't know if there's EGS wiring that we could rob to do that or not. I'm less familiar with this platform. One of the pins is a ground, other one goes to the DME, another one to the EWS, and then a fuse 41 is where it's fused. So I don't think he's going to have us do that. I talked to him on the phone this afternoon, and it sounds like he's more so thinking maybe it's just time to move up to an M5. He's one of these guys that's like, oh, isn't the 540 pretty much just an M5 at half the price? It's the same suspension, and it's still a V8, and it's only 30 pounds more torque in the M5. A lot of people think that, and it's kind of what 540 owners say to justify the idea of keeping or buying the much cheaper 540. It's more of a maintenance problem. Some of the parts are more money, and it isn't all about the 100 horsepower. It's just the S62 delivers power in such a remarkably different way. And then the whole rest of the car, there's different chassis braces, different brakes, different rear control arms, different bumpers. And yeah, the M-Tech adds some of the cosmetics, but you still have a 528 cluster. You still have 528 dash and center console and seats. So yeah, the M5 is certainly worth the markup in price. So we'll see where we go with that. Our fuel pressure sensor issue here, we did rob one of the grounds out of the DME box for use with the gearbox temp sensor. So I'm gonna have to check that wiring, make sure we got that grounded right. I don't think the fuel pressure sensor just died while it's here, so we need to do a deep dive. Nate, I've gotten your estimates all but ready. I'm about 5 clicks away from sending those off to you so you can make your final approvals and we can order parts. Then we'll be digging apart your M5, which will be fun. We'll get the rear tires. Sounds like we're going to do that. We're going to do get rid of the Weber grill finish on the M5 badge in the back, and those are sold as one unit on the E60. On the E39, the M badge and the 5 are sold separately. Here it looks like they come together, so that saves about 50 bucks. And that was today, just odds and ends and working on shit. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit abbreviated. My dad has an appointment somewhere in the afternoon. We got a storage place, so we're going to dump the E60 in there for a little bit. The F10's mostly going to live in there, but it's got a new rear bumper in the back. Someone tapped him like 2 years ago. We finally gotten around to getting the new bumper, and diffuser just needs to be painted and installed. It's pretty minor, but it is like here, there's a deformation in the body, and then of course it took a little chunk out of the spoiler too, and there's a little bit of, you know, damage on that. So we will get that fixed, and then it's back to perfect. Majority of my day, speakers, they finally showed up. UPS or USPS, whoever had them, found them. So I thought it would be a little quicker. It ended up being about 4 hours today. Taking out the old mid-bass drivers, and they're identical between the front door speakers and the rear parcel shelf speakers. Cleaned off all the adhesive. There's spade connectors. One is, the positive is bigger than the negative, which makes wiring really easy. They only fit one way. But of course the spades are just a touch smaller on the BAB sound speaker, so you have to crimp the connectors down, which then makes them really difficult to fit, but I did get those nice and tight. So it is a plug-and-play solution for the mid-bass drivers. Now, talking about tweeters, the rear door tweeters, they said that theirs are obviously way better sounding, better quality. They don't fit as well. They say you have to use a bead of adhesive, which I really don't like the idea of. I found that mine snapped in and were really tight, so I didn't use any adhesive. My least favorite part about the BAB sound system is with the front door tweeters. These have these nice plastic molded brackets. It's got routing built in, management built in for the wiring, which is really nice. And it uses 2 of the 3 Torx 30 screws that hold the mirror on. So you peel back that little black trim piece that has the speaker at the A-pillar. The old one, this tweeter is held in with 1 T30 at the bottom, and then it's got a notch right here, excuse my butyl tape nasty fingernails, and that slides under the other one, so it's really nice, and it only fits one way. The BAF sound solution is fine. It does take a little bit of finesse to get them in. You just get a straight metal bracket that's very soft, and you reinstall the Torx 30 bolt that used to hold these and just don't even use it. The one that we do use is the upper one, and it's adjustable. It's got like a slot in it, and then as you tighten it down, it bends and forms to the metalwork on the door itself. So I was able to get those pointed the right direction and installed. The car's done. It's outside. It's put back together. It's dirty. I got fingerprints on everything. It's really dusty, but everything's back together. All the speakers are working. Got the rear deck put back together. Cleaned up a couple more wires. Vacuumed the car out. Tomorrow will be detail day. We'll get it all cleaned up again, get rid of the fingerprints. I am excited to drive it home and keep the windows up and put some music on and see how it sounds. So I'll definitely let you know in tonight's clip. Larissa's been at the house all day, wonderfully working on my bed that was delivered. The mattress was delivered. They took the old mattress and box spring, which I'm super happy about. Since I only bought a mattress, they told me they might not take the box spring, but the guys were nice and did it. I'm gonna make a note here for me tonight, get the mileage on this guy. I'm gonna update the spreadsheet with the diff oil change. It is 128, 163. So we'll update the spreadsheet. I'll get that paperwork off my desk now so we can update all that. Wow, what a day. I'm gonna go back, finish helping her building the bed. We got new sheets, new pillowcases, new everything. And I'll show you that project when it's done. The only thing that didn't really go according to plan here on my car was with this front passenger door. I got everything lined up and clipped in perfectly, and then the last step is screwing in the door handle with a Phillips facelift car. I think they're Torx 20s. Same thing, but as I'm tightening that in right before I was about to stop tightening, it like stripped and popped out a little bit, and I tightened it right before I could feel it was going to strip again and pop out, and then you pull the handle and it just pulls right out. So it's like, shit. Now I have to take the door panel back off. Thankfully, they leave enough of a hole there where you could reach in and pop the body nut out and replace it. And I have a bunch of them, the 217 body nuts. So I pop it out and it falls down in the door panel behind the vapor barrier down into the bottom. And sure enough, it rattled when I closed the door. So panel back out, speaker back out, open up the vapor barrier, fish it out with a magnet, reseal the vapor barrier, put the door panel back on with a new clip. I should have just replaced all those preventatively, but they looked fine. So now it's done, and I really, really, really hope it is less rattly. I'll report from home. Shout out to Larissa coming in clutch today. She had that bed 95% assembled by the time I got home. Very impressive, everything done right. Helping a guy out when he's working all day. So very much appreciate that. We put on the last few braces and then the slats that support the mattress, and drop the mattress on there, the mattress protector, new sheets. The headboard is quite a bit shorter than before, and it's kind of just more modern and a little bit more ergonomic, maybe. I will let you know tonight or tomorrow, I guess, how that is for me tonight. The last 20 minutes, let's be real, of my waking day is kind of laying there, just laptop on, watching some documentary about something as I fall asleep. So hopefully the headboard's not too low to where I'm like this instead of like this. We will see tonight. Reporting back on the M5. So probably 80% of my rattles are gone. They're never going to be 100%. It's an E39 with a mostly original interior, at least a 20-year-old interior. What I still have that's annoying is on the driver's door, something right next to my ear. If it's the B-pillar of the driver's door, over bumps, like turn into a culvert and the car flexes a little bit. There's just some sort of a kind of a loose sound, either in the B-pillar or the door. When I had the door panel off and the vapor barrier off, I looked in there, tightened up the window regulator, kind of looked at everything that is tightened and loosenable, and everything seems fine. I didn't outright inspect the crash bar. There's like a angled piece of steel in there for a crash bar. Maybe that gets loose somehow after 200,000 miles. Top regulator bolts I didn't check because you have to break through that little plastic thing, and I didn't want to do that because mine's still intact and everything seems fine with the window. I did take apart the lower and upper B-pillar today. Everything in there is mint. I've never touched anything. I've never loosened anything. Everything was already tight. The wire management is all there. It looks absolutely fine. So obviously there's something else on that driver's door that is just a touch loose still. I didn't notice much from the back beyond the split fold. Split fold seats are always going to make a little bit of leather on leather noise as they articulate. Sound system wise, noticeable improvement. I'm actually impressed. So the highs are just crisper. The mids are definitely tighter, a little bit cleaner, and there's more volume in terms of you can turn the music up without it distorting. So higher quality speakers that just sound better. It's not night and day. I'm not going to get in the car and be like, oh, DSP original speakers, they sound like shit, or ooh, bad audio, it sounds perfect. But it is an improvement, and it's going to be a longevity improvement, and it sounds fuller, it sounds more modern, it sounds like a newer car, which is exactly what I hoped for out of this system. So that's all fantastic. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm going to go hop into that new bed and sleep hopefully like a baby. Talk to you guys on Friday.